Hey guys, welcome back. Today on The Untidy Artist, we are making friendship bracelets. We will be using a cardboard disc to make these. The technique is called Kumihimo. It's a Japanese art form. Kumihimo actually means gathered threads. This has been around forever. I don't know how I'm just now seeing it. There are tons of videos out there. I thought it would be fun to show you what I figured out and how to make these cool bracelets. And so let's grab some supplies and get started. The first thing you'll need is some embroidery floss. You could also use string or yarn. This is some awesome embroidery floss I found on Amazon. It came in this gigantic pack with tons of colors. It's a great value. I will link it below. You know, if you've seen any of my flower fairy doll tutorials, I use DMC floss. Their embroidery floss is the highest quality, and it's the only thing I'll use in my flower fairies, but this worked beautifully for these bracelets, and as I was excited to have so many different colors to play with. So this set will be linked below. Then we'll need a piece of cardboard. This is just part of a cereal box from my kitchen. You'll need a pair of scissors and a pencil for creating our pattern. And then you'll need anything round. So a cup, a bowl. I would recommend something around 3 inches in diameter, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches. This is the lid for a candle that happened to be sitting next to me. So that's what I grabbed. It really doesn't matter. It just needs to be round. Okay, let's get started. So we're going to grab our round cup or bowl or lid in this case, and we're going to trace it onto the cardboard. And then I'm going to cut it out. You can buy Kumihimo round discs that are pre-made for this, but for these friendship bracelets, this is a super easy pattern to make, and it doesn't cost any money because you're using a piece of cardboard for your kitchen. So I'm just going to cut this out, and then I'm going to grab a marker or a pencil, and we're going to put some markings on our disc. Now for this next part, some people use a ruler, but honestly, you don't need it. What we're going to do is put 4 different markings: north, south, east, and west. So 4 different markings equally spaced around our circle. Then I'm going to go back and add 4 more markings between the 4 we've already made. So you're going to have a total of 8 lines that go around the outside of your circle. Like I said, this doesn't have to be perfect. No one's coming to check, and it works beautifully. And then you're going to add a dot to the center of your circle. Now I'm going to get my scissors, and I'm going to cut a little notch along each of those lines. So you're only cutting down about a 1/4 inch. You don't want to cut down too far. And I'm going to do that for all 8 of the markings we just made around the outside of our disc. So we have 8 notches in our disc. Then grab something sharp. You could even use the tip of a pencil, and I'm going to poke a hole in the center of our disc. And then I kind of use the scissors to push it down a little bit to make that hole a little bit bigger. And ta-da, we have our pattern for our bracelet. The hardest part of this is picking out the colors. We are going to measure out 7 strands of embroidery floss that each measure about 22 inches in length. Now, if you wanted to, you could use all the same color. You could use maybe 3 different colors. The end goal is to have 7 separate strands though. So 7 strands that each are about 22 inches in length. And once we have all of those cut, I'm going to smooth them out, and I'm going to tie a overhand knot just at the end to keep those strands together. And I leave a considerable amount on the end there because this is what we're going to be using to tie the bracelet onto someone's arm. And you want enough that you're not trying to tie a knot with a weird little stubby end. So I leave quite a bit, maybe 2 inches. And then you're going to take your thread and you're going to push that knot through the center of your disc. So this is the back of my pattern, and I'm going to make sure that it doesn't pull all the way through. I kind of hold it in place with my finger. I hold it from underneath and kind of pinch it at the top. And then we're going to separate every single one of those strands and put it in one of the notches. Now we have 8 notches, and only 7 strands. So one of the notches is going to be empty. It really doesn't matter how you separate the colors because we're going to be moving these strands all around. So just make sure you have 1 strand in each notch, leaving that bottom notch empty. And now we're going to get started. So the key with this is if you can count to 3, you can do this. So we're starting with that bottom notch we always wanted at the bottom facing us. I'm starting with my left, so I'm holding the disc with my right hand. I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3. So in this case, it's that darker pink. And I'm going to grab that 3rd strand and I'm going to pull it down to the bottom and put it in the empty notch. Then I'm going to twist, and I'll always make sure you run your hand down the string. That's one of the best tips I can give you. It helps it not get tangled. And then we have that bottom notch facing us again. I'm holding it with my right hand. I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3. It's the lighter blue. I'm going to grab that strand and I'm going to put it in our empty notch. I'm going to run my hand along the thread to untangle it, and I'm going to rotate it again. And you just keep repeating this over and over and over. So I counted up 3. I'm taking the gray thread, I'm putting it in the bottom notch, and I'm rotating my disc. So I've always got that empty notch towards the bottom. I'm counting up 3, pulling that thread down to the empty notch, rotating it. You can see I'm always holding it with my right hand. I count up 3, grab the thread, put it in the empty notch, and rotate it again. And you guys, that's it. It's so simple. 2 things to keep in mind when you're creating your bracelet is to make sure you run your hand down the strand of the thread so it doesn't get tangled. And also, every once in a while, gently give the back of the bracelet a little pull so it stays nice and even. And after a while, you'll be able to flip it to the back and you'll start to see this cool pattern that you're creating. I think this is just the coolest bracelet I've ever made. I can't believe how simple it is. And one other thing I love is you can put this project down. You don't have to tie it to something. And whenever you're ready to start it up again, you just grab your disc. And as long as you have that empty notch at the bottom, you're ready to go. So I just grab that 3rd thread, pull it down, and keep rotating it. You can see that I'm running my hand along the back of the thread. We don't want it to get tangled. It turns into a nightmare. And then every so often, I gently pull the center down so that that bracelet doesn't start coming up through the middle. And you're just going to keep doing that until you have what looks like this. And so I like to stop and check, depending on who you're making it for. I was making this for myself. I check to see if it's the right length. And if it is the right length, you'll probably want to go back through and just go around your disc a couple more times. You don't want any of it to unravel. When you're ready to take it off, I pinch tightly the end of my bracelet, and then I'm going to pull the strings out of the little notches. Remembering to pinch the back of it so none of that comes unraveled. Pull off your disc. You can see I'm pinching that tightly. I smooth out the threads. And I'm going to tie another knot in the other side. So you can see how tightly I'm holding this. And I'm just pulling that knot slowly so you can control where you end the knot. And that's it, guys. We're all set. I actually wait to trim both ends until after I've tied it on myself or whoever will be wearing it. I love how simple these are. I love that it's a portable project. It's great for beginners. They look like they took forever. And there's some fun ways that you can change it up a bit. Here's one that I made. Instead of using 1 strand in each notch, I used 2 strands. So I used a total of 14 strands. And you can see that pattern is just so beautiful. Let me know what you guys think. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you try it, please let me know. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. That would be amazing. It helps me out so much. And you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.